Hello, and that is better.
Yeah. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Dicey Drive-In. I'm Susie Q.
I'm Witchy Mitchy, and we are here this week in order to bring you the
You're jumping ahead. This is Dicey Drive-In, a show where we talk about books, TV shows, movies, whatever, turn them into a D&D campaign, or at least tell you how to. So this week,
we are bringing you Jon Favreau's Western sci-fi Cowboys and Aliens.
is it versus aliens?
No,
Or and?
Cowboys and Aliens.
Cowboys and aliens.
It's like the racistly named game.
The reason she is really excited about it is because she wants to help debut part of what she wants to release in her compendium on February 1st.
Is it February 1st?
You said in February.
I said before February.
Oh.
I was hoping we'd get it done this weekend.
Fingers crossed. Anyway, so it won't be everything that you see in
the extended edition, but it is the standard edition, as promised. It will have a subclass for every class in the SRD. It will have 2 new classes with 3 new subclasses apiece, one of which will be a witch-based subclass for a bigger class. At first I had designed a witch class, but it was a little messy, and condensing it into a subclass called the Black Hat Society worked much, much better.
Anyway, the point is, I was saying it's not going to see what you normally see in like the D&D Player's Handbook. This is a fan-written.
Well, it is a homebrew of
New classes.
new species, new classes, new subclasses. And I think that's mostly...
Most of which revolve around steampunk.
Yes. The Age of Steam, which in this version it will be called the Standard Edition Steam Compendium, or the SESC. It is 1.3, as it has gone through quite a few tweaks along the way. Balancing, adding things, making sure everything is just so in order to release it. But thanks to the Creative Commons license it is licensed under, you all may use it to your heart's content.
Wee.
And obviously, the only thing that I would ask is you offer us feedback so that we can improve it for, say, a 1.4, a 1.5.
Tell your friends.
And the extended edition, of course.
Share the wealth. Right, Ghost?
However, as that is part of what we are discussing tonight, because someone in this group, this campaign, as it were, has earned one of my subclasses fairly well, I might add, because there was that moment nearish the last sort of hurrah where fall down off of horsey but get back up.
Okay.
But we will get to that. Cowboys and Aliens is exactly what it sounds like. It is literally a cowboy movie that happens to feature aliens. The aliens are after the gold. And you would think this is the
spoilers, by the way, but this has been out for a while.
Yeah, this has been out for years. I've been trying to get Susie to watch it for years. Had I said the words Jon Favreau, apparently she would have jumped all over it, but I forgot he directed it. I forgot he was an executive producer.
I just thought it was a dumb movie. Had I known that Jon Favreau was directing,
I forgot that
Steven Spielberg and Ron Howard were executive producers, I'd have been on it in a hot second.
So yeah, that's where we are currently, and so we're sitting here and going to talk about it. Daniel Craig opens the film. He is Jake Lonergan. Not that we know that. Not that he knows that to begin with.
He looks very confused and he's not talking at all.
And he's trying to break a thing off of his wrist.
Big old metal thing.
And yeah, that's kind of how we open, and then he gets surrounded.
Finds people to come up out of nowhere.
And they are trying to either rob him or collect a bounty on him because they don't really know what he's doing out in the middle of nowhere. And they try to get him to take the thing off of his wrist and every other, every other thing they possibly can to attack him, but he's a badass. And out of nowhere, the number of hits he gets in at the speed in which he gets them in. My first reaction to the character was Monk Fighter from Multiclass. But you also learn he is very proficient with firearms.
More than any other character on the show, or in the movie, I should say. I don't think any of them have as steady of a name as he does.
Arguably Harrison Ford's character, but that's the only one.
Not at the end.
Which is why it was up in the air whether Harrison Ford got the class, or got the subclass, or Daniel Craig got the subclass for this one. The fighter subclass that Daniel Craig receives is not mine. 'Tis again Matt Mercer's Gunslinger.
I mean, it's cowboys and aliens. What did you expect?
The amount of people who I would just throw Gunslinger on in this movie, in and of itself,
Like 98% of them.
if we weren't going to, and this is the other thing, liken certain things, certain attacks, certain whatever, to other classes of magic use rather than just guns, because that would get boring. Yeah, everybody's a gunslinger.
Oops, all gunslingers.
That would kind of be one of the easiest ways. He winds up going into a town where a petulant little shit is firing off rounds. Well, first he runs into a very helpful preacher who also knows how to stitch people up. And if that doesn't scream fucking cleric, I don't know what does.
And it was Clancy Brown, Mr. Krabs.
I don't understand how...
Clancy
the guy's
Brown's
been
Mr.
in
Krabs.
so much stuff, and your takeaway from Clancy Brown is still Mr. Krabs.
It's probably gotten him more money than everything else over the years.
He's been in Sleepy Hollow. He's been in fucking Clone Wars.
Tons of
He's
TV
been
shows.
Anytime there is a general voiced on anything, like 8 times out of 10 that shit's Clancy Brown.
Yeah.
Or
Forrest Whitaker.
Sometimes. It's very
I guess I'm
rarely
just thinking
Forrest
Star Wars.
Yeah, no. That's just... God, brain is farting on Star Wars knowledge?
My brain
Who am I?
My brain wanted to say Bam Margera, and that is obviously not it.
Oh, wow. No.
That's the dude from Jackass.
Also a former professional skateboarder?
Probably. But no, it's something that sounds like Margera. Guerrera?
Saw
Saw
Gerrera.
Gerrera. That's fine. You see where I'm coming from? Similarities and the syllables.
Okay. That broke my brain for a minute. We're back.
You're welcome. Anyway, Clancy Brown.
Yeah, he plays generals on everything live action, or a police officer on everything live action.
Or the bad guy.
Who is usually also a general.
Yeah.
And if you see his face and he's a good guy, like 60% of the time he finna die.
Yeah. And
This is not
spoiler alert.
This is not an exception.
Yeah. As soon as he endeared himself to everybody, I was like, well, he's gone.
Yeah, he makes it about halfway through the movie.
Even.
Maybe a third.
45 minutes?
Yeah, but it's not a long movie.
It's 2 hours and 30 minutes.
It was more like...
I saw it.
It was closer to the hour mark when he died. So it was a good amount. It wasn't quite only a third. It wasn't quite to a half, but he made it about an hour in. And he taught the other guy, the other cleric, who hilariously
We never see him actually
do the job of Doc that
Being a
everyone
doc.
calls him.
Mm-hmm.
Which says to me that that's a cleric subclass that does not actually give a fuck about healing.
No, it's
Which-
bartender.
Somewhere between War Domain or Twilight Domain cleric for Doc. Because, like, it doesn't... He's a bartender, so I'm like... Proficiency with, like, alchemist's tools, or maybe a multi-class into artificer alchemist. No, that motherfucker's not a
At the
gunslinger.
end?
He gets a proficiency with firearms, just like a GIF does at the end. But he's not a gunslinger per se. He may have the sharpshooter feat.
Mm-hmm.
He may have the sharpshooter feat at the very fucking end.
Well, he practiced the whole time.
So like
He
level
learned pretty quickly considering.
level 16.
Like 3 days?
This motherfucker took sharpshooter at level 16.
3 days is pretty
3 days
impressive
are all I need.
to go from not knowing how to shoot a gun to sniping people in the head. By people, I mean aliens.
I am warning you, Javert. Sorry. So I'm going to say, for the sake of simplicity, War Domain. Because all he does is fight.
Yeah. Most of what he does other than yell.
He gets a proficiency with firearms probably at level, I don't know, 12 to 14 somewhere. And then at level 16 takes the sharpshooter feat and potato tomato. Now let's rewind to the petulant little shit. He doesn't do anything on purpose.
He was shooting at the saloon. Because he was drunk.
I'm saying he can't hit shit
Oh, on purpose.
on purpose.
Yeah.
So my first idea is, if we're likening gun use in some ways to magic use, this motherfucker's a wild magic sorcerer. Because wild magic table, you don't know what the fuck you're gonna get.
Mm-hmm.
Life is this fucking small ass box of chocolates.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway. So, and we're gonna say high elf because petulant little entitled shit, noble background.
My daddy.
No,
He has money.
yeah, but like noble background, obviously, because he's moneyed little rich twat.
Mm-hmm.
High elf. This player at your table should actually probably be the obnoxious parent of the player playing this character's
If
parent.
they're down.
If they're down. And it's a guest thing, because it allows them to kind of like get some cathartic, like, this is what it was like raising you, you little shit, out at the table.
Mm-hmm.
And
Or it can just be like your drunk friend.
or it can just be a drunk friend. Yeah. Just somebody who's like, I don't know if I need a deal as a drink. And then be like, why am I rolling dice all of a sudden? Wild magic table.
This is
5.
crazy. What did I just do? My dad has all the money. You can't do shit to me.
So it's either the parent of the player playing the parent of the character, or it's a drunk friend. Mm-hmm. You take your pick. Now, the person playing Jake Lonergan, the person playing Daniel Craig's character, has to have somewhat of a grasp on the mechanics of D&D.
Needs to be a more experienced player.
Needs to be a more experienced player. And, like, if you are one of the tables where this is where I want to differ as a DM every time I go into things from Matt Mercer.
Mm-hmm.
Because Matt is a master. Matt is a master. No doubt about that. But, like, he is a master of describing what happens when the player says they do something fairly simple. Mm-hmm. I want my players to do that level of description for their own finishers. Mm-hmm. I want them to, like, just go into it. When
When he asks for how do you want to do this, he's giving them the opportunity.
Yeah, and then they say something like, "Yeah, I shoot it in the head," or like, and then
He narrates
he
it.
narrates it out and expands it to like sound more epic and badass than the way they put it.
Mm-hmm.
When I'm at the table, I want the players to give me that finisher and narrate it themselves into what they see their character doing. I
But
want
not
that.
everybody has that ability.
I understood. I would prefer it if the players were so into their characters that they were like, yeah, and I fucking wail on his face, and I turn him around, and I kick him in the butt, and he falls on his face, and then I stomp on him a little bit. Like,
let them have that opportunity.
Yes.
To get into it more. Yeah.
And I think that player, the player who does have that ability, is who you give Jake Lonergan to. Is who you give Daniel Craig to.
So they can have fun.
So they can have fun, like, narrating how badass this character is. Like,
yeah.
For themselves. And they're like, yeah, the little shit walks up to me. I'm going to roll the knee him right in the nuts.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and then just like, okay, I'm going to roll here, extra attack, fucking jump onto this guy's horse.
Mm-hmm.
And you've got to give that the quick thinker player.
Mm-hmm.
The quick on their feet, quick thinker, knows what they're doing, knows the mechanics of the game, keeps it flowing for the other people at the table. So like any scene where that player's got their 1,000,000,005 attacks because they've got monk and fighter going on.
Mm-hmm.
They're not boring the other players at the table. They're keeping everyone engaged. I kind of want to see a forever DM get the opportunity there.
To be Jake.
Because the forever DM's going to know the mechanics.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to know how to describe things. They're going to know all that shit, and they're going to bring that with them to the table and be excited to play a character.
Opportunity to shine as a player because the thing's already written out for them. They just have to play it.
They just have to just beat some ass and describe it in vivid detail. And that's why I want to see the forever DM kind of get that opportunity because like they know what they're doing. They know how to describe things. They know what, like, and they finally get that time to shine. So then we run into a sheriff who tries to take in Jake and has already taken in the little piddle shit. And we actually meet one of our third player characters. Because the sheriff, that just went out.
It's flickering. The bulb has probably been left on too many times.
I'm blind. Don't need to stare into that. Whew. Need an LED bulb.
I told you not to look into the blue light.
Really just make a reference to the movie
that we just watched? Yes.
Yeah. We meet Olivia Wilde's character, who in one hit manages to do what no one else has done, and just knocks Daniel Craig, knocks Jake Lonergan the fuck unconscious. And if there's one type of character that can kick your ass in one hit with just a thunk, them's a barbarian.
Yep.
And like, but we're dealing with, and spoilers if you haven't seen it, we're dealing with an alien here. You don't know that at the time, but she is an alien. She's not one of them. She's one of the ones.
One of the attacking aliens.
She's not one of the attacking aliens. She's one of the aliens that the other aliens have attacked
and wiped out her entire family, like her race.
And if we're talking in terms of D&D, there are only two races that the alien race that are bad guys, the Mind Flayers, do that to. That's the Githyanki and the Githzerai. Now, your first reaction will be, okay, she's a Githyanki because she's a barbarian and she beats ass, but I'm going to say she's probably a wild magic barbarian. And that she's got some levels of barbarian. This is a player who doesn't know what the fuck they want to do and like is mostly there to role play. That's who you give this to.
Fun. Yeah.
Is the person who wants to multi-class to do like 6 things, but like any of the battle heavy scenarios, they're just like kind of following the lead of the rest of the party. This is who you give this character to. The heavy role player who is not the heavy battle master. And because she's got a self-healing ability, she's probably got some sort of healing magic, whatever you want to call it. It could be cleric, it could be bard. I'm going to say bard for the sake of something that happens later on in the movie. And I want to say there was a third class that we talked about her multi-classing into.
I don't remember.
But yeah, this is a Githyanki. Kind of plain and simple.
Githyanki?
Sorry, Githzerai.
Githzerai,
plain and... I just said it was not a Githyanki. It's a Githzerai, plain and simple. What her multiple classes are in terms of the subclasses, I would say the Barbarian is wild magic. The Bard is probably lore for magical secrets.
Okay.
I
guess inspiration. LOL.
Kind of, yeah. And during all this, we run into the sheriff's grandson, who if you want to keep the aesthetic of small, I always say this for like child characters, you can play a small species, a halfling, a gnome, a goblin, a gremlin. That will also come out this weekend or before February in the standard edition compendium. I have created the gremlin species, but let's not say gremlin. Let's keep it with wizards. Let's say halfling.
Mm-hmm.
Kid's kind of lucky. Halfling luck.
Say goblin.
Fury of the small.
Mm-hmm. That and his dad left. Like everybody left him. They've been known to be more nomadic.
Yeah, but then Grandpa would have to be something close.
Not necessarily. He could be half goblin. Kid.
Oh, Grandpa's fuck. They're in the Acquisitions Incorporated book. A Verdan.
Or a human.
A Verdan is a half goblin.
Well, there you go. Yeah.
Or the kids of Verdan.
That's what I was saying.
That'd be
was the
interesting.
kid.
The kids of Verdan. Unfailingly honest.
Mom was a goblin.
Kind of.
Or I guess Dad was a goblin because he left.
Yeah, goblins tend to like either burrow in with hordes or be nomadic. There's not a lot of in between. Mm-hmm. But you can play goblins however you want at your table. They don't have to be the traditional stereotypical.
I was saying because Fury of the Small and because he's light on his feet and very what's the word? Observational. And because of the type of not taboo, but you know the racism towards goblins in D&D.
The D&D manufactured anti-Semitism.
Yeah, he's going to be less likely to jump into things because everyone's always targeting him.
The goblin stereotypes are just anti-Semitism.
Yeah, well, and a little bit of the culture of the Romani are thrown in there too, with the pneumaticism and.
You want that? You want a tabaxi.
I'm just saying it's similar. What I'm
The
saying is
the stereotypes against the goblins in D&D are highly anti-Semitic, even in the books. Still, the stereotypes against the tabaxi in
we just got a
D&D
big like.
are a big like.
I thought I saw a thumbs up come up on the screen. I don't know.
Oh, that would have been my alerts, which
Oh. Anyway, I think with all of the offhanded, or not offhandedness, but I mean, like, people aren't exactly great to that kid, and the only person that's nice to him is the cleric.
I mean, Harrison Ford's character is not nice to him, but he
No.
does tell him what he needs to
Needs
hear.
to, yeah, but I mean, in society, like, nobody really
and
gives a shit about the
gives
kid.
him stuff.
Yeah.
So like, it's more a character that somebody would take pity on, and I don't see, especially a high elf, because that's what we said Harrison Ford was, taking a whole lot of pity on a goblin.
But at the same time, he takes in a different, like a large, varying types of people under his wing. He has the semi-adopted son who he found alone and taught to take care of himself. And he has his ranch hands, he has his son, he has, as a colonel, he's going to be one that looks out more for everyone, not just his own race.
You want to know? You want to know who the Verdun is? It's the adopted son. Because, one, he is a stereotypical race from back then that a lot of people, especially white people, would have gone no about.
You know, he doesn't have a whole lot of lines. It kind of makes me want to make him a Kenku. The kid.
He's a social. Oh, the kid.
Yeah.
Like Kiri.
Yeah.
Wrapped around this weenie.
Like, do you see was it Elle and Jake? Elle and Jake. No C. With the little, like, knife in the corner going, ah!
I stab people.
I stab. Yeah. Kitty.
Still one of my favorite NPCs that Matt came up with.
Anyway.
Oops. Kid could be a Kenku, but like I also this is the sheriff's grandson, and like there are meaningful conversations had with the kid.
Yeah, I guess it can't be.
And like
Kenku.
so he's got to. I'm not saying Kenku can't take things in, but like they're not very good at like expressing themselves.
Well, even then, like, this is a homebrew thing. You can really make them however you want.
You can have them played however you want, but like half of the whole thing of Kenku is they can only repeat what they've heard.
Yeah.
So like what I would start doing if I was playing a Kenku in any situation would be to keep like an actual log of any new words I heard or would latch onto, so that as a Kenku, I would know all of these words. They might sound a little different because I'm imitating sounds, but I would still be able
It's like splicing together.
splice
audio.
together a sentence.
Yeah.
That's how I would play a Kenku, is like
That would be
somebody who's splicing together sounds they've heard to make sentences.
Yeah. Is it within a certain amount of time that they've heard it that they remember?
No, it's only repeat things they've heard.
Okay.
So like if I've heard entire conversations in character, every word of those conversations
You can repeat back.
I can repeat back in a different order if I want to. But I don't see that being the case with this kid, where he like admits, I'm worried about my grandpa. Like, it's more. I see the kid as a halfling.
Okay.
Something that would not necessarily be the richest in town, could be reasonably, like, you could make the sheriff a halfling
Yeah.
very easily. I mean, he's just an NPC anyway.
Yeah, he gets taken so early on.
So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with that. Is the kid's a halfling because he has that halfling luck feature. And basically, he gets lucky a lot, especially early on.
Yeah, early on he does.
It's almost like taking the lucky feat on top of the halfling luck.
Yeah.
And he doesn't like do like one attack the entire time.
Yeah.
Which is a single stabby stab, which is with a dagger, so single level of rogue.
Yeah.
Although it was a brutal attack, so like you could argue assassin rogue level 20 has never had a reason to attack before, and then just unloads everything into that one attack. So like that character gets to be their level 20 self at just the right moment.
Yeah.
So that would be where I would go with that. I would say the Verdun would be the adoptive son. I would say the adoptive son, if we're equating guns to magic, and we want to have a similar backstory. Oh, I like this.
Getting warm in here.
Sole survivor of his family.
Mm-hmm.
Why would anyone be able to be the sole survivor of their family?
An attack.
Other than they were just a kid. An attack that left no other survivors?
You were out getting something.
How did you survive? I'm going to say Warlock Verdun. Patron saved and set the kid up and probably this is an Archfey Warlock, which is why the High Elf takes the kid in.
Because he's been shown mercy by a
by an Archfey.
Archfey, yeah. Sorry, I was trying.
And they have Fey ancestry. And we're replacing the aliens in this with mind flayers because they basically take people and turn them into.
Can we open up the window, please? I'm getting a really bad headache.
Yes. We're opening the window. Give us a moment.
Pregnant lady is getting too warm. Bye, that's me. And all the lights are like killing me.
The lights are probably making it warmer in here.
Well, it's still
We have a lot of set lighting, in case you hadn't noticed. So, who we've held off on this entire time? Harrison Ford. Harrison Ford's character is an Oath of Iron Grit Paladin. Now, I'm going to read to you the Oath of Iron Grit Paladin. Because, quite frankly, I can. And it will be coming to you shortly. So, we're going to release that a little earlier in audio form.
You gonna read the whole thing?
I know, you're going to space out halfway through. It's okay, pregnancy brain.
I was gonna ask if you minded if I excused myself for a little bit.
Well, we're going to sign off immediately after.
Well, I was gonna go potty. But I can wait it out.
We'll make it quick. Sorry, I'm trying to pull it up on my phone, because if I take either of the computers, you're either not going to be able to see or hear me, and that simply will not
Can
do.
you turn off the crow, please?
Yes.
Oh, thank you. I think that was a major source of it.
Oh, these are all in. That's why. They put them in alphabetical order on the phone version instead of most recently opened.
Excuse me.
All the way down to the subclasses. That's Iconoclast Trend. Wizard. Going back up. Sorcerer, Rogue, Ranger, and here we are. The Paladin, Oath of Iron Grit. The Oath of Iron Grit has been around as long as slings and arrows, and their sole purpose is to answer the call. What call? The call of the wild? The call for aid? The call for action? Yes. Sometimes simply called the Vigilant, these sentinels of history have kept with the times and value such things as acts of service. Bandits or dragons attacking your town and stealing everything for themselves? Call the Iron Grit. Need a regular old card shark to take down the cheating scum running the largest poker game in town? Call the Iron Grit. Need someone who will see literally any job through? You guessed it. Call on the Iron Grit. But don't abuse the privilege. If the Iron Grit sense you're using them to take advantage of others, they'll change sides and level that playing field against you, which Harrison Ford, in a way, kind of does do. Except it's not being used so much as realizes there is a larger threat and that the people who he sees as his enemies are far better as allies.
Mm-hmm.
The tenets of Iron Grit. Answer the call. Acts of service define me, but I must be wise in who I act to serve. Apologies for the car going by. See things through. Make that cars.
Sorry, we live on a busy road.
See things through. Whether I hold to my initial task or change sides, I see all things through to resolution. Answer the challenge. If someone has issued a formal and serious challenge to me, they're driving their car by while I'm speaking. Formal and serious challenge to me, I will answer, but sometimes the wisest answer is no. Level the field. Fair's fair. Maintaining order means a fair shake for all, regardless of species, race, color, creed, or presumed right of birth. If the one is stealing from the many, that's not level. And that doesn't sit right with me, and I will say so. If it comes to doing something about it, I'll be doing it. Oath spells. You gain oath spells at the Paladin levels listed. Oath of Iron Grit spells. First, Identify and Bane. Third, Pass Without Trace and Phantom Steed. Fourth, Command and Hold Person. Ninth, Counterspell and Locate Creature. 13th, Locate Object and Guardian of Faith. 17th, Glibness and Hold Monster. Channel Divinity. When you take this oath at first level, you gain 2 Channel Divinity options. Quick Draw. At the onset of battle, before rolling for initiative, you may choose instead to simply go first. Any attack rolls made with your ranged weapons will be critical at 15 to 20 for this attack, and for this attack only, regardless of the creature's armor class. So you go first, and you crit on a 15. or ricochet. While behind half cover or more, you may channel your divinity to guide an attack made with your ranged weapons. If there's any reasonable surface, including but not limited to stone walls, hard ground, or someone else's helmet between you and your target, your connection to the divine guides the projectile to bounce off of those surfaces and hit the target without an attack roll. Damage will not be critical unless placed under a spell effect of another player in your party. Proficiency. When you take this oath at first level, because these entire classes and subclasses in my compendium are designed to go from 1st to 20th level, not 13th to 17th like a lot of people play. When you take this oath at first level, you become proficient with firearms and darts, and gain expertise with playing cards and animal handling, but only if that animal happens to be a horse. Ranged Smite. When you take this oath, starting at 2nd level, your ranged weapons can be used to deal your divine smite. Aura of Grit. Starting at 7th level, at all times, your resolve is such that you and all allies within 10 feet of you cannot be frightened. You may also, once per long rest, use a reaction. Dear God. What the hell was that going by?
A parade.
No, I mean, there was one that was super
Yeah, it was a truck.
huge. Starting at 7th level, at all times, your resolve is such that you and all allies within 10 feet of you cannot be frightened. You may also, once per long rest, use a reaction to attempt to intimidate your enemy within this aura out of attacking. You make this check at advantage. On a successful check, the enemy is still scared enough that the attack does on an unsuccessful check, the enemy is still scared enough that the attack does half damage. At 12th level, you gain one more use of the reaction per long rest, and the range of your aura extends to 20 feet. At 18th level, you gain your third and final use of the reaction per long rest, and the range of the aura extends to 30 feet. Last Stand. Starting at 15th level, when you are reduced to 0 hit points, you can choose to fall prone and barely clinging to life until the end of your next turn. During this time, you still have 0 hit points and may take no action, reaction, or bonus action until your turn comes, nor can you move. However, if any enemy attacks you before your next turn, you fall unconscious and fail 1 death saving throw. You may only take the attack action for one final ranged attack at advantage at a single enemy of your choosing. As you are clinging to life enough to hear, you may receive bardic inspiration from another member of your party, though you may not inspire yourself if you've multiclassed. After this final attack, you must still make your first death saving throw as normal. You may not use this feature again until you finish a long rest. Cold Blood. This is your pièce de résistance. Your level 20 ability. At 20th level, you become the ultimate finisher, which gives you the following benefits. Reactionary. Whenever a creature damages you, you may choose whether you attack as reaction for a chance at full damage. This is a free reaction and does not count against your normal reaction for the round.
No, sir.
You deal half damage of your attack or you can deal half of the damage of your attack in radiant damage automatically without having to roll an attack roll. Or you simply take the hit. Once you use this feature, you cannot use it again until you finish a long rest. Whenever a creature makes any ranged or area of effect attack against you, physical or magical, You may choose to barrel roll, taking half damage on a success. The physical movement of this action also works against psychic attacks, magic missiles, and silvery barbs that could otherwise not be dodged. You move 6 feet in any direction. This counts against your movement and reaction for the round. Did I say? This counts against your movement and reaction for the round. Once you use this feature twice, you cannot use it again until you finish a short rest. Hot Shot. All ranged attacks dealt with firearms or darts are now automatically critical on a 17 to 20. Including throwing darts as competition rather than in combat. When standing over a prone enemy, all of the attacks count as double critical, dealing triple damage. Which, by the way, that's not on 17 through 20. If you are standing within melee range of a target over them, triple damage with a firearm. You will blow somebody's brains against the floor. Gambler's Bluff. If you are within a zone of truth, you automatically resist its effects and may choose whether you tell the truth or a lie. Once you use this feature to answer a single question, you may not use it again until you finish a long rest. So you can lie your ass off about one thing for free. And Poker Face. If anyone makes an insight check against you to determine if you are telling the truth, it indicates that you are being truthful. Which is a passive ability that you can drop if necessary, but even if you're lying in the zone of truth and they make the insight check against you, you're still free. It still indicates you're telling the truth. And that is the Oath of Iron Grit Paladin. You are a card-sharking, gun-slinging, rootin'-tootin' cowboy.
Or girl.
Or girl.
Or them.
Or cow person. Doubly so if you're playing a Fearbold.
Yeah!
Or a Minotaur.
It would be interesting to be a white Fearbold with black spots or brown spots.
It'd be fucking hilarious to be a Minotaur cowboy.
Oh my god. Hey, Whisper.
A Minotaur Oath of Iron Grit Paladin.
Yeah. Anyway.
A cowboy.
Oh my god.
Anyway, we love you. Have a good evening. Have a good weekend.
Thank you for
we
joining
shall
us.
Release and unleash the standard edition of the compendium onto the website very soon. Keep an eye on the downloads page. Thank you for watching, and
Have a good night.
Have a good night.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Thank you.